if I can make it look exactly the same, and I'm sometimes better because I'm more comfortable with this material, why can't I be in your group? They will say no, because that's not a cleared material to approve a costume. And I find that just ridiculous.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Hot Glue and Bobby Pins, a podcast by creators for creators and anyone who wants an inside look at the lives of people who make things and post about it on the internet.
Today, we are chatting about another relevant topic within the cosplay community, toxicity and gatekeeping within fandoms.
Yes, and this is also an exciting episode because today we're joined by one of my other best friends that I met through cosplay way back in 2014, the one and only Jedimanda. Hello, Amanda.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Hello. You've exposed my age. Thank you.
Yes. It's okay. I'm older than you.
By not much. Not much,
yeah. About 11 months.
Are we the same age, Amanda?
I'm 32.
You and I. Oh, okay. I turned 31 yesterday.
Yeah. It was 31, 32, 33.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Okay, so Amanda, I guess maybe tell everybody, kind of give the whole usual thing. How did you get started in cosplay?
My alien spacecraft beamed me here in 2020. I'm just kidding. The age-old question of how I got into this was a very strange way, but I will try to do my best TLDR version. Let's see. I went to school for art. We'll start there. And I quickly realized that painting things was my jam. And I like to paint women's clothing, which was also awesome. But my models sucked at picking out their own clothes. So my mentor was like, why don't you make stuff for them? And I was like, I don't know how so. Whatever. Well, we have a theater department here. Why don't you sign up for some costume design classes? I was like, oh, okay. It's always been like, I've always loved costuming, or I wouldn't have been drawn to painting fabric. But so I basically took one class, and it was just like the highest, like, ever. I just loved to design costumes and figure out how to do it and how to read scripts for theater. And I came from a fine art background. Like, I did not click with my theater kids in high school. Like, I couldn't stand them. I still can't even watch Rent to this day because I hate that musical because of my high school. But I was like, okay, I really like this. This is really cool. So basically I got into that, graduated with like a minor in costuming, and I actually started working in local theaters around school and our city, designing and doing makeup. But then I also started realizing that I really am tired of unappreciative actors wearing my stuff, and I just want to wear my stuff. So I went to my first convention when one came to town, and I walked in severely underdressed and realized, well, I need to get my shit together, and made something for the next year's Comic-Con, which was a katana from Mortal Kombat 3, basically a bathing suit, and I had the best time, and that's how I got into cosplay. And then from there, it just went, whoa, crazy.
That's fantastic. Now, does your fine art background, is that why you think you're so detail-orientated?
Absolutely. Well, I'm very detail oriented, but I also am a big critique, and I can critique myself and not hurt me to a point. But also, like, the skills that I got in art school, like, helped a lot. And even if it's just painting, like, I can, colors are just different to me now versus like when I was studying color theory, how light hits. I learned that in school and in theater, like how, but that is also something to think about, like for us, like when we go to a convention, how the light hits our outfits is going to look different in those photographs versus other photographs that we do like for a photo shoot.
Yeah.
So it's something to think about. Also, how terrible the red is. Which convention center has red carpet that we hated that one time?
C2E2.
Oh, yep. C2E2. Oh yeah. That gave everybody like the worst glow. I hate that carpet.
It was horrendous. And the yellow overhead lighting, everyone would want to take your picture in there. And you're just like, it's horrible.
You look terrible.
Lighting is like a sin. It's awful.
It's awful. And then like the carpets, I think it's Indiana Convention Center, the Indianapolis Convention Center, the carpet is just like, oh, so garish.
Yeah.
This makes costumes look awful. Like, I hate it. But anyways.
Horrendous.
Lighting.
So,
woo!
Yeah. So I guess, Amanda, you and I met in 2014, like the year after I started doing, actually, I guess it was the first spring after. Was it you that messaged me about the Playboy Bunny group?
I think that was Ashley, because Ashley was the one that was in between both of us, because she contacted me and I was like, oh, hey, you're a person I don't know, but I'm going to just go ahead and room with you. That's fine.
Yeah.
Why not? And then it was her idea that was for the bunny idea.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to make a bunny suit. That's fine. Oh, God.
Yeah, what a mistake. I'm just kidding. They were like, it was fun to hang out, but like, oh my word.
It wasn't a mistake because it made me realize group dynamic is different with cosplay versus what you're doing your own thing.
Yeah.
I had fun.
Yeah.
But like, I never wore that costume again.
Yeah, we had a lot to figure out. Like, so yeah, we met online basically, or no, we met basically when we roomed together, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah. C2E2 2014. And then you met Sophie when I brought her to C2E2.
2019. Yeah, I had followed Amanda so I still remember when you were like, oh yeah, Jedimanda is one of my good friends. And I was like, what? Because like I came to cosplay as a fan of cosplay. Like I did no cosplay. I was just a fan of cosplayers and like, oh, I want to be able to do that. And so like there's so many people that like now like Amanda that I would consider like a friend who for so long behind the scenes I was just like, oh my gosh, who?
I'm glad my reputation precedes me.
Yeah, no, I remember when April asked me and I was like, you what? I'm gonna room with Jedimanda? And yeah.
Yep, but you're coming.
Yeah, but one thing that weekend also was helpful for me was just like I like getting to meet the people that I admire online because I prefer that dynamic, like getting to meet the person behind the social media, you know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I know it was the first time you met Alex too. Like, yes, I know because our dynamic is like mostly a team when we go places. Because now people are like, "Well, where's Alex or where's Amanda?" And I'm like, I don't know. She's probably taking a photo somewhere.
For some reason, I had this idea that you and Alex were very, very, very serious, and so I was okay. Bad behavior. Don't be weird. Don't be weird.
We're the most unserious people ever.
I think it was like 5 minutes in and Alex was acting like a gremlin and you like called her a gremlin. And I was just like, okay, this is good. This is good.
I'm glad because our gremlin attitude, we're both very outgoing people and we play off each other like extremely well because we work together a whole lot and we hang out a whole lot. And so when people meet both of us at the same time for the first time, it's like, they have different ideas. They're like, well, Jedimanda is like this and Alex is like this. And we're both like, hey, welcome to our room. Here's a monster and a shot of vodka.
I love it.
Yeah. I feel like I'm the like closest to what the serious one is in our group. I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, I don't see that. I don't know. I've never really thought of, you were quiet when I met you.
Compared to Alex and Amanda, like their energy level's like up here. Mine's like kind of like here a little bit, just a little different, which works.
We play good. We play good. Yeah. But the thing is, I know how you are. So if you're over there just sitting and listening, I'm not gonna be like, April, are you okay? What's going on? I'm like,
no, and then I can give you a look, and you're like, okay, time to kick the people out of the room.
Oh man, I'm so good. I can read you like a book.
Yeah, I love it. It's the best. So
anyways, toxicity in the fandoms.
Yeah, so let's talk about fandoms.
Let's get
yeah. Time to roast. All right, so I guess we can tell everybody which fandoms, like just to start out with, which fandoms we consider ourselves to be in, I guess.
Yeah, I'm curious to know your all's fandoms. Yeah, what's April? What's your fandom? I know some of them, but what would you consider your fandoms?
Yeah, so it's kind of tricky because I would say Critical Role is one of the fandoms, and I guess I would say. For a while, I probably would have said definitely Elder Scrolls, but I feel like I'm in one Elder Scrolls group. It was like a Women of Elder Scrolls, and that's the only Elder Scrolls group I'm in on Facebook because of what we're going to talk about, I guess. So
I understand.
Yeah, so like Critical Role and like the one Elder Scrolls group. I guess I'm in another Elder Scrolls group. It's like a cosplayers group, but I'm not in any of like the fan groups.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's probably, I think that's it really for like the ones that I'm really involved in.
So you're not in a Skyrim, that one game?
Oh, Elder
Or
Scrolls.
no, did you consider Elder Scrolls? I don't know. I call it Scrim.
No.
My partner plays it all the time, and I'm like, "Hey, babe, you playing Scrim?" And he's like,
"Oh my gosh!"
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no. Skyrim it's Elder Scrolls is the series, and then Skyrim is one of the games in the series.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I learned a thing. I swear, I'm a cosplay grandma. I'm a fandom grandma. Grandma. I know nothing besides the big things that most people know.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
Good.
What do you guys consider involved in a fandom? Like, what is the criteria for being, okay, you're involved in that fandom?
Well, I mean, for us, all of us is going to be cosplay, so that's just an automatic yes. We're all involved. Yeah. That's how we share it. I think being involved in a fandom is showing that it's more to you than just the media. Either that is like you you cosplay, you fan art, you buy merch, you buy toys, you know. I think once you start getting into a fandom is when you think about Star Wars more than just being like, I'm going to go watch the movie Star Wars. Like, I'm over here thinking about, like, you know, Republic versus the Empire. We had a conversation, my partner and I, on the way in to his work that was yelling out the window, "You're wrong! We're going to talk about this that level of fandom."
Okay. Well, that makes more sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't know. I was like thinking like, oh, well, I'm not like actively talking about this with random people online, but like there are things, I guess it is still mostly Skyrim, Elder Scrolls, and Critical Role that I like have merch from, I guess. I like a lot of things that are not like considered fandom too, that I buy stuff from. Like, I don't know, like animals, plants, makeup, like things like that. So like, but like for fandom stuff, I guess it's probably still just that. Star Wars though, I guess.
We're talking more like pop culture. Pop culture fandom is probably like where there is a media where, you know, plants and animals and all that kind of stuff is definitely got a fandom because people, that's a lifestyle. But when it comes to a pop culture fandom, it's all about like, how do you express it or how do you intake it? And how do you think about it a lot? Do you not think about it a lot?
I guess Star Wars would fall into that for me too then, because Casey and I, like, especially over the past year, we've consumed a lot of like Star Wars media and like had like conversations about little things about like the Force or whatever and all that, read a lot of the books. So I guess Star Wars would be added to that too.
Okay. But Sophie, what are your fandoms?
I don't see, this is why I asked about criteria, because like I love the subject we're on today, because early in my cosplay like journey, I got burned by so many fandoms I wanted to be a part of that I kind of withdrew from. Like, I try not to get too deep into any community. I like moonlight through communities, I guess. Like, there's so many different things I enjoy.
That's a healthy way. That's a healthy way.
I really can't think of a time that I haven't been like burned getting too close to the center. That's kind of what I was talking about in my YouTube video about the Critical Role stuff we'll discuss. But it just feels like you get too close to that innermost circle of people and it's like a fire. And so I would say if I have a fandom, the fandom is just, actually, I lie. I'm very involved in the Twilight fandom. I just don't share that outside of, but I'm in Twilight groups. I am. Alex is like,
Amanda's fainting.
Amanda. I said Alex. Amanda.
Okay, that happens. They're not the only one that's done that.
names.
No, I love hating on the Twilight stuff because it's just fun, but it's all out of heart, good heart.
And it doesn't hurt my feeling. I understand that I have the most biased opinion of Twilight, like for sure. But that's like the only fandom where I'm like active in the groups, like secretly. I have a little shrine.
That's adorable.
I love it.
Okay, you do good. That's great. That's great.
But fandom-wise, cosplay, I like to like I dabble in like the My Hero fandom a little bit, and I really love the Pokemon and the Sailor Moon fandoms. A lot of the anime fandoms, I like dip my toes in, and then I really do like the Critical Role fandom. I want to be more a part of that.
Yeah, I think also getting into fandom just takes time. Because it's kind of an imposter syndrome thing. It's like you jump into something and you're like, oh, I like this, really cool. But then 4 people quiz you on something, or you get more dislikes than like on the thing, and then you question your own love of the fandom. Like, am I real?
Yeah.
Am I
Well,
not
that's
real?
exactly like Star Wars. I'm sure we'll get into that later, but that's one of them where I always try to like dip my toes in, and then I'm like, oh no, I've like there's
And I
too
think
much
that's just
knowledge
because
and I don't have it. So
it's so vast. It's
it
so
is.
vast.
Do you think though, in that, maybe I'm jumping ahead, but I just had this quick question. Do you think that it's going to get to a point where it'll be nearly impossible for new people to even become a part of like the Star Wars fandom because
No.
it is becoming so vast?
Mm-mm,
No,
because it's happening in generations. I
yeah,
would not be a fan of Star Wars if the prequels did not happen. I liked the original trilogy. That's cool, but that's a generation of fans. The 90s got a generation of fans. The 2000s now is a generation of fans of Star Wars. So as more Star Wars content and media keeps coming out,
yeah,
a young fan will attach themselves to Rey. They're in the fandom. They ain't going
that's
anywhere. They
true.
might not know a thing about Padme and might not even know who Leia Organa is. Well, they would know who Leia Organa is, whatever. But like just stuff like that. So I don't think it will ever stop. And also, as long as the content's good, they'll always get more fandoms. But for people like feeling anxious about not being a true fan, I don't like that because
Yeah,
you could just like Rey and be a true fan of Rey
yeah.
and
I
be
think
done.
that
You
I
know?
have a tendency to do like especially if I'm like on my stream talking about this stuff and I like it, like Critical Role, for instance, and I'll be like, oh, I'm a fake Critical Role nerd. And it's just easier to preface with that before people like come for me and my knowledge, to be like, I just appreciate April really loves it and she made me love it, okay?
Yeah, and
I got,
but that's okay. But it shouldn't come from a state of fear. It should come
yeah,
from something that you like, and you're
yeah,
like, I like this. I might not know a lot of the stuff from backgrounds of stuff, but I'm there. So as long as you're telling yourself that you're a fan of this person or you have a character you like, there should be no fear.
yeah,
The fear happens because someone pushed you backwards. So
yeah,
now you're just like, well, I got to get back up again and get in their face. But
yeah,
that happens a lot to us because of toxic fans.
yep.
Yes, it sounds like a great segue into,
Mhm.
and I can't think of the word segue without thinking about those little things that people ride in
I
the
would love a
cities.
segue.
Dude, I fell
Oh
off
my
one of those
goodness.
ones.
I've never ridden on one.
Me
All right,
neither.
this is going to be a very long podcast because I'm going to insert
my
so many
gosh.
stories of my life. But there
Please
was this
do.
one time, and my dad's, my family owns a cabinet manufacturer company, and we have plants we're calling them plants, but where the cabinets are manufactured, and they're big, they're vast. When the Segway came out, everybody was like, "Ooh, we're getting a Segway," and so we got one Segway from one of the plants, and we have always had like little scooters that you ride around to get to one part of the plant or whatever, but they got one Segway just because they wanted to try it. And so I was with my dad late one night, and this was early 2000s? Was that Segway time? Early aughts, maybe
so.
mid-aughts?
Sounds
like
right.
Well, I was like, I'm going to go do this. I'm a teen. I can do whatever I want. So I got on the Segway with no prior knowledge of what to do, how to do. I'm just like, you lean, right? Forward and lean backwards. Well, I leaned backwards too much.
Oh no.
And I was so scared that I was gonna break the thing that I still held on to the handles when I fell off. And then apparently when you fall off a Segway, it like jerks forward and like goes down. And so I fell off, but fell forward, and it dragged me forward and then laid completely to the ground because it was like trying to counterbalance the weight I was putting on it. Oh, I was so scared. But then I just left it on the ground and went and just was like, Dad, I might have broken a Segway. And he was like, oh, really? I didn't, but I thought I did.
Man.
See, that's my fear. That's why I'm too scared to ride one.
Don't worry. It's really not that exciting. It kind of look like an idiot when you're running around when using it, but it was strange. I don't do it.
Gosh.
Just ride a bike.
Mall cop cosplay.
It's a mall cop cosplay. That's real deep cut. That's deep cut. I like it.
Oh yeah. All right. So let's get into the toxicity as much as All right. So I was about to. I think I'm thinking about naming the episode "The Toxicity of Our Fandom" or something like that. Yes. But
may or may not be a System of a Down fan cast.
Okay, so the dictionary definition of toxic in regards to human interaction is very harmful or unpleasant in a pervasive or insidious way.
Oh, yes.
Do you agree with this statement?
Yes.
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 I agree with that statement. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I love the word insidious, sidebar, also.
Yeah, it can feel quite insidious, I must say. So what were your guys' first, do you remember your first experience with like a toxic fan from any fandom?
Yeah. I remember mine quickly, and it was because I did a fan art version of Elsa as a Sith in 2015, I think. And it was a fan art, and in the fan art, Sith Elsa has a red lightsaber. Like, I get it. Sith, right? Cool. Well, I didn't have a red lightsaber, and I wasn't going to buy a red lightsaber because those are expensive. So I photoshopped a red lightsaber in. But when I went to conventions and when I got selfies, that lightsaber was blue, like hella blue. And those pictures online, people were just raging. You're a Sith. That needs to be a red one.
Oh my God.
Why is it blue? And I'm like, well, Photoshop it yourselves. And so I had several people just sending me like out of their way Photoshopped. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
what? Why go that distance? Why?
Yeah.
Why? But I mean, that is very small. But I remember that was my first pushback on something that was like a choice I made that I didn't care about, but obviously someone cared about. And I think that was kind of like the inkling into a toxic fandom, well, Star Wars, but yeah, that was mine.
Yeah.
It's wild that people do, like, I understand being passionate, but that like negative passion, I guess, like it just blows my mind that somebody was so upset about the color of your lightsaber that they went, like, your time is precious in life and you're going to spend it like that.
Yeah. I've had people Photoshop my stuff too. It's great.
Yeah, the outright unwanted photoshopping is very. I'm like, why?
Madness.
I'm not going to post your thing because you're doing it out of anger and you've made me mad. Why would I go out of my way to be like, oh, this person's changed my mind? You're getting a photo credit. Congratulations.
What would I do without you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was mine.
Mine was Overwatch. So I really like doing gender bends. I don't know why. I just like a design, and often they're male characters. So, and I also get to have a bit of like artistic outlet, right? Because when you're gender bending them, often you have to change them. And I really, costume design, I enjoy more than building accuracy. Like, I love making my own versions of things. So that just works really well for me. So I did a few. I did, when Overwatch came out, went ham, and I did like a Soldier 76, which there were a few people saying stuff about that, but not a big deal. But then my McCree, that's the one that really got me, because Kotaku shared it and shared my cosplay music video we did. And people destroyed me because McCree does not have breasts. And McCree would never. Absolutely.
What does McCree have a first name? Were they trying to give like a feminine name to McCree? Because that's what they did to my Doctor Strange. I'm not Stephen Strange. I'm Stephanie Strange. Who the hell that is?
His first name's Jesse.
Yeah.
So it could be a McCree. Yeah.
I guess I don't think that was in the comments. People just were, even though if you look at my McCree, like, I didn't alter it to be extra really femme. Like, there's no cleavage. I'm fully covered. And like, they were just so, and then, in the music video, there's a part where I'm like, I turn around and I'm like walking and you can see a little bit of my back tattoo, and McCree would never. McCree, why did you not cut your skin off and get rid of that tattoo before? Like, I just remember waking up like, oh my gosh, Kotaku post, and I had this pride. I felt so good about it because I had patterned all the hand, and that was so hard. Oh my gosh. But anyway, and I woke up and I was like, oh, how cool. And then I got to my YouTube and I was like, oh, wait a minute. And then I looked at like if people were so upset.
Yeah, that's one of the worst things, is when you get so excited and then like that, it is twisted the opposite direction. And you
can't get that back. Like, no, you can't get that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was my, the Overwatch. And that's kind of why I stopped. I mean, Overwatch, obviously, like the relevancy isn't super there, but there are lots of characters that I still would have loved to have redesigned. But after that one, because it went on for days. days. And I was just like, well, I am good. And then people would go through my other, on my social media, my other gender bends. And then it was an attack on my gender bends in general. So I had a perception for a long time that it was not okay to gender bend, kind of, like you would expect backlash for that. So, but that was my first experience.
Ugh.
Yep.
Fun. So my first experience was in 2013, the first year that I had started cosplay. I knew nothing about cosplay. Well, yeah, I guess, no, I was thinking about like the first costume that I did. I posted something to Imgur, which was a big mistake. That wasn't a toxic fandom. That was just a toxic website. So
it can, yeah, definitely.
Toxic users on the website, whatever. But the second costume I ever made was Ayla the Huntress from Skyrim, which had been my favorite game since it came out. And I was really happy about the costume. And I posted it, and Bethesda reposted it on their official Elder Scrolls Facebook page, back when Facebook pages were a thing that people used.
The only thing that we had.
The only thing we had. And so I was, again, like same with Sophie, I was super excited about it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting recognized as only my second costume, and the source material's recognizing my thing, and I'm getting all these likes on my page. But, like, of course, with all the likes came all of the video game men fans. And they were just picking apart everything that I had ever put onto the costume, like down to like...
That boggles my mind, because I know those pictures and they're so damn good. And I'm like, who? Why? I don't play the game, and I know that's what it looks like. And they're like, it's really good. Like, that's a severe level of nitpick. Like, I get the nitpick if a gender bend is something different. Like, that's okay. But like, that's a almost extremely accurate representation. Like, what the hell?
And that's the thing, like, because I am somebody who kind of strives for accuracy.
Yeah.
And like I know all the things that I did that were not like extremely accurate. And then to have like 20 people point those things out or whatever, or like nitpick my appearance. Like somebody said that I was too scrawny to be but the character is scrawny.
That's what I'm saying. She's scrawny. Yeah. Ayla's not out bench pressing in the middle of Skyrim waiting to get a dragon. Jesus.
Yeah.
Also on the costume, like I would love to see any of those people build that costume.
I know that too.
Let's see you do it then.
That's always my go-to response, but I know it's not going to get anywhere. And I know responding to these people is usually not the best way. But if I'm feeling sassy, I'm going to give you a response. It's like, well, I made this. Why do you judge this? Or why don't you go make it? Or blah, 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 blah. I have a list.
Instead of wasting your time spewing hate at me, use that time to build it.
Mm-hmm. I know. It's kind of like, oh, cool. Thanks for the attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I do that a lot too. Like, I'll just write back, thank you, like with like a cheeseburger emoji, like for no reason. And I'm like, that's 2 hits on an algorithm for me that you gave me, even though it's negative.
Exactly.
The algorithm doesn't know.
No.
Mm-mm.
Gosh. So
it just sucks
I guess
that this is a thing that everyone experiences, just to interject. Like the fact that this is a discussion, I think we could have with nearly anybody in our community and they would have an answer. Like that, it's so prevalent.
Mm-hmm. I've never met anybody that has never experienced some kind of toxic fandom, negative comment. I don't know, even a dick pic, more or less. Like that's negative as well because that's unwanted.
Obviously, all of us were like strong enough to move past that. But I know people who have been straight up like just been done. Like, and for some people, like fandoms are important because for some people, that's all they have. Maybe they don't have a lot in their life and they need that. And that's what this community is for, because it's full of people who really need that. And then you're going to talk to them that way and ruin this for them. Like, it just blows my mind.
Yeah. Have you ever like felt that sort of temptation to just like stop cosplaying from certain fandoms, or to just, I don't know,
in general,
close the box a little bit and move away from it, from stuff like that?
I'm going to honestly say no, because I have such a deep connection to the people that I cosplay that nothing will get between me and that person.
That's fair.
I don't know if that's just me and like the tightness I got, but like that I will never stop doing Star Wars. I will never stop doing Marvel. I'll never stop doing Mortal Kombat, which is my new my new fandom. Actually, I'm not new. I've loved that video game for millennia, but cosplaying from it has been very new for me, and having my most viral thing ever be from that hurts me somewhat. But like I did kind of inkling like, well, should I not ever do Mortal Kombat again, because I've never had this level of nuts ever. But no, I still love the game. I think about it a lot. I watch lore videos. I'm never gonna not do that. But that's just me as a person. I'm real tight with my characters. You can't get between me and my characters.
What about you, Sophie?
It's kind of like I said, like Overwatch, like it certainly made me, because most of the characters in Overwatch I wanted to do were male. So it was all back to the gender bend thing. So I certainly felt the need to take a break, but I'm really garbage at that game. I was only attracted to cosplaying and build because I love the designs themselves. So I think I have that connection. Whereas Kingdom Hearts, I should have said earlier, that's a fandom I'm in.
Kingdom Hearts. Oh, that's so. I don't like Kingdom Hearts, but I think it's cool.
Oh my god, I love it. I could rant about what I think is going to happen, but anyway, I won't go there. But I love the lore, and I cosplayed Dark Mode Riku, and you helped me with that, Amanda. Like the first
I remember.
Yes, that like so much love went into that costume, and like the fandom liked it, but the rest of the internet didn't know what I was doing. But it like didn't matter, it doesn't matter what anyone says. I love that costume. I'm gonna do Aqua. There's a few others. I had a few people be like, "Aren't you a little old to cosplay Kingdom Hearts?" And I'm like, "Don't test me. I will cosplay all of the characters.
I have adult money now.
Yeah, I can do.
Don't talk to me. I got adult money. I'll buy the games and do what I want. Go home. Call me when you're 25.
Maybe. Oh, I guess My Hero. So I really love the My Hero community, to preface, but I kind of backed away from there, and I haven't done any more characters since Deku, just because, again, like I think it's just a thing with gender bending. Like I need to figure out why people have such a problem with gender bending.
I think it all just comes back to the connection that people are really tight with their characters, like I am. Yeah. But I don't care. But some people really care.
Yeah,
and they spend so much time either playing that character in a game or watching it in a movie, reading it in a book, to where to them, if you mess with it, it is like encroaching on their property. Like they're at the front step with a gun ready to take you down.
Yeah, man.
And some people are really like that. I'm like, okay. Sure.
Yeah. I think since the My Hero community is really, because now they do all these OC characters, which I think is super cool. So I think it's gotten so big that it's blossomed. The community itself has bloomed into something much bigger and better. But at the time when I did Deku, I was just like, oh, okay, I'm going to take a break from this for a little bit.
Right. I think I'm sitting here thinking of another fandom that I know I stepped away from because I think I'm too old for it, and that is Disney princesses. But I put an asterisk down next to that. And also Sailor Moon. I used to be really big into Sailor Moon. Like, massive. Huge. Sailor Mars is my girl. And I made Sailor Mars. But I don't fit in that anymore, so that's fine. Yeah, so, and I was like, well, I'll make another one. I'm like, I don't really think I want to be in that fandom.
Yeah.
I'm not an anime person. I don't watch it. I just am like, it'd be doing it pure for my nostalgia bone to like, be tickled a little bit. But that's one. But also Disney princesses, I feel like when I first started in the cosplay, like that was my thing for a while. I was doing Disney princesses, and then I got out of it. And I think I got out of it because I was like, I don't really feel connected to the Disney princess cloud anymore. And then the Disney cosplay fandom is just nuts. Yeah. Like they're crazy.
I've never always wanted to do an Elsa, and I haven't because I don't really want to dive into that side of the Disney cosplay stuff.
I don't know.
I'll appreciate it from afar.
I'll appreciate it. And I want to do an Aurora as well, but I want to do an Aurora for a sake of design wise, because I have ideas to be able to do a dress the way I want. That's not because Aurora is my favorite Disney princess. I mean, I like her. She's cool. She's beautiful, whatever. But I want to do it for a design reason. Not necessarily like, that's my girl. But we get a lot of people at work. I work for a wig company. We make wigs. We do Disney princess stuff. But anybody that usually reaches out to us and wants us to do a Disney princess wig, like that's their life. Like Crazy Eyes' life. And if we don't meet that expectation, it is like it killed them. Like
don't those wigs cost like $500 plus?
Yeah, they're very expensive. Yeah. And like we don't care. You paid us, it's your thing, and we'll help you achieve what you like, and then you get the wig and whatever. But it just seems like Disney cosplayers are really tight in a not creepy way. What am I thinking? Strange, kind of like crazy way. I don't know.
Very passionate.
But passionate to the point where it's
there's like an attachment there. Like they're very like fused with it. It seems.
And I think that also comes from childhood, because when we were kids, Disney movies were the thing, and we got really connected to them as a child, and then like pushing that into adulthood, it gets different for a lot of people, and sometimes it gets really like, I can offend somebody with Star Wars, but like if I offend somebody's Elsa love, like it's a problem.
Yeah,
I don't know. At least I see that in the cosplay community, and I'm like, I'm going to exit the group now.
Yeah, I think I was in a Disney cosplay group, but I think I ended up exiting because there was like a massive blowout thread or something. I'm just like, man, I just don't want to be in this anymore. Like, I like Disney. I love Disney, and I've cosplayed Cinderella, and I want to make Cinderella's maid dress and shoot with Mabel, my cat, because she's big and brown and fluffy.
Yeah,
I think that would be so cute.
Yeah,
kind of like rewrite the movie and have a nice cat in it, because that's my only bone to pick with Cinderella is that they have a bad cat, but whatever. That
is the most April thing I've heard like in a long time.
Oh yeah, that's a problem. And then I also want to do like a Briar Rose dress of Aurora and then shoot in the woods or something. But like, it's mostly because I just like the look and I like the nostalgia, but I also think that I could do pretty photos of it. That's mostly what it is, I guess.
So you're all kind of coming at it as a design sense a little bit. Like,
yeah,
Aurora's cool. She's rad, whatever, but I don't feel like I'm an Aurora.
Right.
Kind of.
I mean, I do love my sleep, but not that much.
Yeah. I don't know. The Disney cosplay community is just different than, I guess, the ones that I'm in.
I think the facet of it that makes it so it can be very aggressive is like a lot of Disney cosplayers are part of princess parties, and they are always feuding. Like, I have never seen Disney princess party groups not like and that is the most vicious. Like, Disney princesses get at it, man. They're mean.
I got so many stories when I used to do that. Oh, that's another podcast. Let's do another horror stories podcast. I got so many things.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I think that also leads into Star Wars and to the 501, which is something I love to talk about.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that too.
But I don't want to jump ahead on our little notes we have here. But that does lead into that, because I think it comes back to the company representation, because I don't know if you all know this, but 501 Rebel Legion, I think it's just those two, they have a deal with Lucasfilm to be a representation. And Lucasfilm was like, okay, here's the stipulations. You have to be good. And so because of that, already brings in a certain type of toxic judging wise, which is, but I think that's how Disney also is too, because Disney, you guys are walking free advertisement, but they're starting to crack down on those Disney princess parties and copyright infringement. That's a whole other thing. But I do think it's because of the company representation as well, why people get so angry when you don't look like Cinderella.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about 501. That's I would, because I have a lot of people. That's okay. I have a lot of people asking me, like, whenever I post my Bastila or Mara J, I have so many people that are like, "Oh, are you approved?" I'm just like, by myself.
Yeah,
yes.
By me.
But like, I used the 501 and Rebel Legion sort of guidelines to like get ideas for my costume, but I did not build it with intentions to like submit it. So I was wondering your thoughts.
Aren't they all feuding with each other too? Aren't they competitive? The different 501, like, they're supposed to be one, but aren't they across the country? They compete with each other for character representation to some extent. Would you agree?
Do they?
Well, here's the thing. I'm not in it, so I don't know. So I'm only in it because I'm not in it. I'm not in it, guys. I'm not in the 501. But I see the stuff that happens outside and the problems that's happening inside. So I can kind of have some insight. But as far as like, I don't know, competition, I'm not sure, because they have all the garrisons throughout the world. and each area has a garrison. And I don't know, maybe they have like inner costume contests, which is ridiculous.
I've gone to other states, and the I'm guessing at a show, and the 501st at that show, somebody will come and talk to me and be like, "Oh, what area are you from?" And if I say anything near Kansas City, several states are like, "Oh, that garrison or that fire," and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. So, to my knowledge,
friends
with the 501 and the Rebel Legion, like each garrison is like a state, you know.
Yeah.
One state gets more opportunities to do something than another state does. And that makes people upset because, for example, The Mandalorian, the latest Mandalorian episode where, spoiler alert, Boba Fett comes back. That episode requires a lot of extras, and those extras were 501 people. But those were the only 501 people that were local to LA. So if you're in 501 in Iowa, that's like a dream of yours. Why now you're offended that you didn't get the invite to come and try out or be an extra in The Mandalorian. So that makes you upset and mad at the LA people. Get what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. And it's like, and there are people, especially Star Wars cosplayers, will move out to California to be able to get those gigs. And they can. And it's because they're belonging to one of the costume groups, or they know people that knows people in Lucasfilm, because Lucasfilm likes Star Wars cosplayers, especially if you look good, to do stuff. And so you can get those. But that's not fair for someone who puts the exact same amount of work in and you just happen to live in Chicago.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot to say about the Midwest gets blocked out of opportunities often.
It does.
That could be a whole other podcast.
I hate it. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities I know all of us have had that were like, oh, you don't live in New York City? You can't come to a photo shoot? I'm like,
can you fly to LA on your own dime?
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were from California. Like, no.
Yep,
yeah. It gives us another term in the meaning of flyover states. It really kind of hurts. But I'm like, well, my cost of living is cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take that. But yeah, I mean, if we want to like talk about the most toxic parts of Star Wars, it's definitely there's an aspect of it in the 501 and the Rebel Legion, because to be in the club, for people who do not know, you have to submit your costume to a judging panel. And those people who are the judging panel get appointed within certain garrisons that basically they kind of like work up in a little pyramid. And so you can be like an Ahsoka judge, or you can be a Leia judge, and you're the ones that are approving those certain characters.
Mm.
And when you're that judge, you kind of have to know everything about how to make the character. But also, in my opinion, that's your interpretation on how to make the character. Yeah. I get that everybody's supposed to look very good. But if I want to make something out of foam, and your costume instructions are telling me to make it out of Sintra, why?
Yeah.
If I can make it look exactly the same, and I'm sometimes better because I'm more comfortable with this material, why can't I be in your group? They will say no, because that's not a cleared material to approve a costume. And I find that just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's like taking the power, right? Like you were given that power, so you're going to make sure that you solidify that power. Like I make this decision. I definitely when the like power dynamics come into cosplay and these fandoms, that creates another layer of problems entirely.
Absolutely. And that bleeds into the internet, because everybody has that level of judgment, because they know the character more than you do, maybe.
Yeah.
So they're going to judge you on that level, and that's ridiculous. No one has the authority to do that, because in my opinion, the only Ahsoka Tano out there is Ashley Eckstein and Rosario Dawson. Like, just because you're better than this and you know more about Ahsoka doesn't make you the one and only Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make any sense. And people have that mentality on the internet
and
within costuming groups. What'd you say?
That's people used to say when I first started cosplaying, and I won't say names, but people used to say, well, that's my flagship. You can't cosplay that because that's my flagship. That's what I'm known for. And I'm like,
I've never heard of that.
I didn't know you made the character wild.
Like, I'm from the mothership of Doctor Strange. No one can be from this one except me.
Yeah, only you. That's it.
Yeah. That is a level of fandom of toxic fandoms that I think is the most problematic. Because there's people that'll call you fat on the internet. There's people that'll say you're too skinny or you don't look like this because you're wearing leggings and the person doesn't have leggings, you know? But those you can be like, you can process and move them out of the way, you know? That happens. I hate it, but it does. But it's the cosplayers that get on each other's butts about whatever reason that really warps me.
Yeah.
Like we should. And every fandom has it. Every fandom has it. Ugh.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like, I don't know. Like, where do you guys think it stems from? Like, insecurity and jealousy that's probably my my first guess.
I think we never want to. I always struggle with saying, oh, it's jealousy, because I don't want, you know what I mean? It's hard to say that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't ever want to be like, oh, they're jealous. But I do think that, because I know that in myself, because I think if we're honest with ourselves, like things pop into your head, like you see something and you get a little bit jealous, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to say that because I'm an adult woman who can process my feelings and not hurt somebody else with them. But somebody else may not be able to do that. And it just, to me, it comes from a place of jealousy. They want to keep you out because something has, or it's like like it's theirs, right? It's just, it's theirs. You can't have it.
Yeah. It's a jealousy thing, and it's a, they want to be you type of thing. It's a jealousy and envy thing, I think. And like all of us, I mean, even myself, I have definitely scrolled past somebody and I'm like, that makes me so mad because they're so perfect. And I'm like, it hurts. And I like to tell people, I'm like, it's just scroll past it. It's fine. I'm like, no, if it hurts you, like understand that is something that you got to deal with.
Yeah.
But to not reply back with a mean comment, don't do that. You know, if you can see something that you're jealous or envious and be like, and like, just get angry and then move past it or process it another way, but just don't process it to where it hurts the person.
I always try to process it like, okay, if I see something and I'm like, oh my God, that person is so perfect, like that, like, okay, well, I thought it was perfect. It made me jealous. So you know what? I'm going to tell them how dope I think they look. Like, oh my God, you look so good.
And you're crying and making me like, it's so
I hate you, but you're beautiful. But like, turn it into something positive, man. Don't attack. It's like the whole Vex thing with the Critical Role for me the other week. Like one of the people who really, really came for me, apparently that's like her character. Like she resonates 1000% with that character. She sees herself as Vex. And so like anything in that realm that's not perfect to her was like the end of everything. Like she, like, I wish I would have saved more of the comments because you could tell she was really genuinely hurt. Like genuinely, I had hurt her and ruined her day because I said the name wrong. But it's like, is that level of action healthy? Like we've got to have healthy boundaries. Yeah, like, right? Like you've got to have healthy boundaries. There are characters I love and I would love to be IRL, but I'm not.
And one of the worst parts is that person might have not recognized that it's unhealthy. Like that is the way for them to get it off your chest, is to just fire back the missiles at you. And that's how they feel better. And unfortunately that's bad. And that's what needs to stop. And I have no idea how to solve this.
Well, that's why I made that little video, because I was going to just ignore them. But there was a lot. Apparently Vex has quite the fan base that really resonates deeply with her. So there was quite a lot. So that's why I made that video, because I just wanted to be like, again, like, I'm an adult woman in my 30s. You're not going to knock me back, but there might be somebody who all they have is Critical Role. Like it's so important to them, this thing. It's their only group of friends that they have or whatever it may be. And if you come at them that way and scare, then they have nothing. And that's depressing. Like don't scare people out of fandoms. It's just not nice.
It's not nice, but yeah, I don't know. It's a problem that I don't think is ever going to get fixed because fandoms will always get more fans. And people will always connect to a character whatever way they want. And sometimes showing their appreciation for that character is to be a white knight on the internet and to tell everybody else that they look like shit.
That's why I think it's in those fandoms to be like a loud, positive voice, right? So maybe you drown out some of that. Like that's so important.
I think for us, like as cosplayers, it's extremely important for us to be as much of a cheerleader as we can for people, because the more, you're right, the more positive does drown out, but also we have to look at it on our end and be like, we can have 50 messages that say, this is amazing, but then we get that one. It's just like, you look like shit. And that's stuck. It's stuck with us the rest of the day. So it's like, all that we can do is just keep getting more of those positive messages to where hopefully our brains will just go, and then I'm seeing the positive and I'm not seeing that one negative.
Yeah.
That's just hard. That's a hard mentality to get over.
Yeah.
I know. I think even over time, like over time, it can kind of get better a little bit, but it's still a struggle. Like I always joke that I'm in the wrong career field because I've always been a very sensitive soul, I guess. Like, I don't know, if someone told me I was doing something wrong, I would just like melt as a little kid. So to have like a barrage of those types of comments on the internet, just like the first couple months that would happen, I would just get really extremely upset and like cry about it and stuff. But like nowadays it more so makes me annoyed rather than sad, I guess, is what kind of flipped.
And is that because you're getting older, or it's because you're just in the community more? Maybe
it's because I don't care about some of the comments more. Like some of them I've come to be able to recognize, like, oh, that's just somebody fishing for attention. That's just somebody doing this or that. Like it doesn't hit me as personally all the time. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they'll like, pick up a body part that I'm insecure about and point it out. But so it just depends now. It's a little bit easier, but it's annoying because it's not going away. It's just constant.
Yeah, and we're only going to get more followers unless one of us does something that cancels us completely out of everything. Then our numbers will go down. So we're only going to get more comments and more people seeing our stuff as we progress through whatever we're doing. But I just don't think it's ever going to really change. But the best thing to do is to just drown out the negativity. So it's like, you just have to choke it out, and then just try to teach people more and more within the cosplay community, especially new people, that this is something that happens. Be prepared, but also here's something to counteract it. So you have like an arsenal of something you could do to help. And I think maybe if I started out like that, I think I might have thought about things differently.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. But I'm just thinking about this as I'm working through this, also sidely writing it down for like a topic in my book.
No, I think you're right. I think that if I had more tools in my arsenal when I started, cosplay entirely would be different for me. It's like if you think of cosplay as like a fandom, when I started building, there was a lot of like I was new to building. I was making I'm still making mistakes, but like people would zone it, hope like they'd see that one mistake in the photo and that would be it. They'd come for me. And that puts so much insecurity in my own building skills that even years down the line, when I think about it rationally, I feel great about where I'm at now. But man, I get one comment about like something looking a little wild, or they notice something, like I fall backwards into that like, oh, I'm bad at this. Like I'm a shit builder and I have to like work my way back out of that hole. And I think all the time about how much personal energy that takes me to get out of those holes. And I'm like, some people don't have that energy or that power. And you're ruining this thing that's literally supposed to be fun for them. So like, how do we teach, like you said, what tools can we give to the people getting started?
We have to tell people to engage more positively.
Yes.
Yep.
Go out of your way to leave nice comments.
Don't go out of your way to leave nice comments. Go to someone and just do a like spree on their whole profile. That will make their day.
Oh my God,
and that in turn will make them want to comment and engage more. And it's just a chain. It just keeps going.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because that's something that I've kind of struggled with, is like outwardly sort of, I guess, showing support. Like I'll obviously support everybody that I know in cosplay, but I've been trying to make more of an effort to kind of outwardly show it by liking, sharing, whatever, because it makes me feel really good when other cosplayers do it for me. So I'm just like,
dude, exactly.
Yeah.
And that only helps them. And also that more or less you're going to see their content more, because that the algorithm clicks in. The more you engage with the person, the more you see the person's stuff. So it's only going to help. It's not going to do anything bad. And I wish more people did that instead of just mindlessly scrolling.
Yeah.
Don't just stop. Throw a couple emojis out there. Stop. Yep. Tell them that looks awesome, or hell yeah, that's my favorite. I literally write that on everybody's. Yes. I'm giving away my secret. I'm like, hell yeah, with little cheerleading palms. I might sound like an idiot, but I'm engaging with your content. I think it's amazing, and that's only going to help people and make you feel better and have other people want to do the same.
I put like this is dope on so many posts. Sometimes I'm like, I hope they don't think this is a bot doing this. Like it's dope. I want to comment on as many as I can. I can't write an essay. Guess what? This is heckin' dope. Okay, on
yeah. And it also helps you too as the commenter. Because the more you're more positive about other people's art, the more you're going to be positive about your own art.
Yeah, and going back to like the jealousy thing, like how Sophie, you said that if you see something that where you're just like, oh my gosh, this person, like I feel so garbage compared to this person.
Yeah.
Like if you comment on their stuff and say, wow, I love this, and then they comment back, wow, thanks so much, or whatever, like that will make you feel, well, it'll make you feel guilty for feeling those feelings about it first, but it'll make you feel better knowing that you gave them something positive, or I don't know, commenting something nice to them will make you feel better than just like stewing in jealousy.
I very firmly like believe in like energies. Like I won't get all like, but I really do believe in like positive vibes. But like, I think when you're feeling negative, if you can convert that into some kind of positive energy, like if commenting back and being like, oh my gosh, you know, this doesn't help me feel better. If I'm just feeling really down on myself because I saw something that triggered me to feel like jealous or something, I will unplug and go and build or go and do something creative, like remove myself because I want to come to the community with positive energy and, you know, that can be hard sometimes for sure. But I just think that it's better use of our time to convert any negative energy we have. Because when you see people who do get into those ruts and it's just negativity, like you can tell they were made to feel bad and that's awful. But then in turn, they flip that on other people and they just create this cycle of, and you watch it happening and it's like, why are you wasting your time? It's
and one of the things I like to look at it is like, you are defending your fandom as well, because this is talking about toxic fandoms. Like for me, I am in Star Wars. I wouldn't get Jedimanda for nothing if I didn't be in Star Wars. I will go out of my way. And if I know like the fandom is being toxic about this one person, or I see something happening to this one person, and whether it's a Star Wars cosplay or they're just being dragged on Twitter for no reason, like I will go out of my way and say, this person does not represent the Star Wars community. You are awesome. Continue your day. Like that kind of thing. Like, look at it as like defending your fandom, because mine gets dragged through the garden, through the shit garden on how terrible we are. Like we've bullied actors and actresses off social media.
Oh, no.
That is awful. And so I'm like determined to whatever strength I have on Twitter to just be like, that is not what we represent. And I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it with tweets and quotes and retweets, you know?
Yep.
And so if you can look at it and you love a fandom so much and something is getting so toxic, like, I don't know, get a scrub brush in there and start cleaning, because you don't want your fandom to have that reputation.
You can be part of the cleanup.
That's how I feel like this whole time with Star Wars crew. I'm just like, I'm the freaking cleanup crew.
That's my Star Wars fandom scares me so much, but I do want to dabble. I do. I'm going to. I've just got to get up like the confidence.
There's a lot of really, really great people in the Star Wars community, especially in the costuming community. Like it gets a lot of flack because of the stuff that the 501 does and Rebel Legion and other things, but like within those groups are amazing people that do wonderful work. And like never someone should be scared to do something that they want to do because someone's going to come at them, because you're always going to have and find somebody that's going to be like, nope, shut up, person. You're amazing.
True.
Well, at least that's what I try to show because of the crap that Star Wars has gotten lately. Not lately, for a long time. It's always been like this.
You made a good point earlier, though, about that fandom being so big. I think that's one of the points I tried to make in my little Critical Role video I make to make sure like no one thought I was just shitting on Critical Role, is that I am aware that there's just bad apples in fandoms. Like it's very rarely is an entire fandom actually toxic. It just has a lot to do with like, who do you fall in with, maybe? Like, what is your intro to that fandom? Who sees your content first? What pocket do you find yourself in? But I definitely don't think, like, I hate hearing that when people are like, oh, that whole fandom is toxic. Like, no, I'm sure there's fantastic people in that fandom. You've just seen the bad side of it.
And it tends to feel that way, especially if you've done something like, especially body comments, in my opinion. I guess I get them a lot because I am a more curvaceous lady. So I get a lot of body comments all the time, and that really hurts me. And that's like the easiest way to dig and get me. But I see that a lot, and I'm just like, I keep trying to think like the whole fandom's not like this. The whole fandom's not like this. But when that's all you're getting, it's really hard to not think that way.
On that note, remember, so I hate the word thick. Like, don't ever call me thick. And people, when I've said that in the past, have been like, but it's a compliment. And then you tweeted that once. I think it was like last year or the year before. And that was like enlightening to me, because I thought there was something wrong with me for not like liking that word. So when you were like, I hate it, I was like, see? Like, it's not.
It's from my katana.
Hate it.
I hate it. And I have that word banned on all my social media.
I need to start doing stuff like that, like banning words. I have no words banned.
Oh, yeah.
And that is one of my favorite things I've ever done on my YouTube is learning how to ban words. Yeah. Yeah. For those folks out there, you can ban words and phrases on your social media. You just got to dig around the settings and you can figure it out. Honestly, it helps. It really helps. And some people are just like, well, that's you're taking away people's right to say whatever they want. I'm like, no, they can still submit it. I just won't see it.
Yeah. And it's your page, so.
Yeah, go say it about
you don't know my page. This page may be public, but it's still mine.
It's like saying someone could come into your house and say whatever they want to you. Like, no, you can't. Like, you can say it on the street, but no, you can't come in here and say it.
And even if you think thick is a very complimentary word and that's how you like your women, fine. That's you, not me.
Yeah, just because other women love it, like, get it, girls, hell yeah. But it doesn't mean I have to. Like, oof, that word triggers me. Like, I don't love
it. Triggers me.
That word triggers me. Like, we're going down a rabbit hole.
We're going down a rabbit hole, but I just want to add this in that I did this recently because for some reason, my Mortal Kombat fandom fans that like my stuff are all from Portugal. I'm sorry, Portugal, Brazil, and South America. So I get a lot of comments in Spanish and Portuguese. And so, and I've been translating those comments and they've been negative. And so I've learned fat words in other languages.
Oh gosh.
To where I have to ban those words in my YouTube. It's kind of funny, but also kind of like, oh, God damn it.
The body shaming thing, I'll never understand, like, the need to comment on someone else's body. Like, I have never once seen anything ever where I felt the need to comment on somebody's body. Like, what triggers that?
If there's a comment coming from me about your body, it's because you look damn fine.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Oh, shit, you look... Never have I been like, girl, you looking a little thick today. Like, what are you doing?
Katana doesn't have those leg sizes. What are you talking about? I'm like, well, I do, and this is me.
Yeah. Katana's not real, okay?
Yeah.
Not real.
A real woman.
Yeah, I think that also links back to the fact that people have a very unhealthy... I don't want to say unhealthy because I have a very unhealthy relationship with things that I like too, because I like them too much. To where I cry when I see them on, like, die-in or something like that. Like when Ahsoka came on The Mandalorian, I was like, and why should I do that? I shouldn't, but whatever. But people have this unrealistic expectation of something that they are so close to, and it's really, really prevalent in video games. I don't know why. Why?
Oh my gosh.
Why do you think that?
That's like the question of the century, because like I love video games and I cosplay from a lot of video games, but that's like if you don't look exactly like the game model, then you suck. Pretty much.
And I think it's maybe the time they spend playing that character and like becoming them in a weird anthropomorphic way versus me liking something in a movie. It's got to be something like that because I don't know.
I also think it's like I like people get very, very attracted to fictional characters, like romantically and sexually, like that aspect.
Called something. What is that called?
What is it? I don't know. But that's a big one because it's like they like like the anime terms like waifu and husbando, but like that's somebody's waifu, and like Hinata is a really big one. Like I like cosplaying Hinata, but I have seen people be absolutely destroyed because they're not
parasocial relationships.
Yes, like because Hinata is that person's waifu. They've got a couple of body pillows and they've got stand-ups, and you don't look like those things, and now they're mad about it because they are that parasocial relationship they have, and it's wild to me. It's just so wild. But I think that's a huge part of it is genuinely like a romantic and sexual connection to video game characters.
So one-sided one-sided relationship with a fictional character usually, but sometimes it can be a real person.
Yeah.
But it's one-sided, and that itself is toxic because that's not consensual. Therefore, probably won't end up good.
That happens to a lot of streamers.
Oh yeah, streamers, YouTubers. But I mean, it could even like our sort of like line of work involves somewhat of like it can verge into that territory as well.
Oh yeah, like I was talking to Sam the other. I was talking to him about people find out like streamer well-known creatives addresses and show up at their houses and stuff, and how scary that is. And like where we've moved to now has so many layers of security before you can even get to our floor. And I was just like, it's wild that I had to have the thought like, well, if someone found my address, I would be safe now. Like that ever even had to cross my mind.
Like
it's a weird place to be.
I hate that, but it's true. It's true because it's happened, and unfortunately, because it's happened, we have to act upon it. But yeah, it's very dangerous. I really hate it, but I mean, all you can do is think about the new cosplayers and warn them.
Yeah.
Like this is a problem, and it may not cosplayers, but like streamers or anybody with who is going to put their life in a public area somehow, whether it's streaming, acting, cosplay, it's something that everybody has to be super aware of.
Where you're like the product, basically. Like
mm-hmm. And totally agree.
So I did have another just thing to add real quick. This is just something I've been thinking about a lot since we decided we were doing this subject, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, but like, do you consider cosplay its own fandom? Like cosplay as a whole, or no, because it doesn't have source material?
Well, that can kind of link back to like what April was saying about that plants and animals thing. Like, I'm really into I really do think that because a lot of us think of cosplay a lot during the day. We're thinking about different types of materials out there. We're reading articles about best glue adhesives, like that. I think cosplay is definitely a fandom, or community, more or less, is what I would call it, is instead of a fandom. But I do think so.
I guess because when I was trying to I was reading through this when April sent it to me, like our outline, and I was trying to think of like what fandom I consider myself a part of. My brain kept going back to cosplay, and I think it has to do with the fact that, like, what I was thinking, toxic fandom. Like, honestly, cosplay can be pretty toxic, and because before cosplay, I was a fan of cosplay. Like I started off as a fan of cosplayers and the art, it's as its own like fandom. And so in my mind, I always think of it as the fandom I'm in. And then other fandoms are the sub like genres of that fandom.
Yeah, I've never really looked at it that way, but I definitely would agree because there are people out there that love cosplay. They don't cosplay.
Yeah.
They'll attend Dragon Con just for the hell of it, which I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Good to you.
Have fun.
I know people who like are fans of cosplayers and like follow, but they don't even know the source any of the source material. They just like watching them model the costumes or the costumes be built. And so, I was just curious.
I would say that's a lot of people's fan bases. I know that's mine because a lot of people really enjoy me watching make stuff. They might not like the character that I'm making, but they just like me making stuff. So yeah, definitely. I think that's cool. And I like that a lot because that shows an appreciative, that is very appreciative to a skill that I spend a lot of time in. Yeah. And that is very nice. But don't come at me to tell me to use a different glue because I'm going to spit it right back at you on why my glue is the one I should be using.
No backseat.
I'm doing that because that has happened recently.
Oh no.
Oh jeez.
Well, yeah, my whole Ahsoka series has brought out this commenting community of like, ma'am, you shouldn't be using that type of fabric. It's not going to drape the way you want. And I'm like, I have a degree. I've worked 10 years in professional. Like I am very fine in my skill set. I will put you down quickly. And it doesn't bother me. But that's also because I come from, like, when I came into cosplay, I came into a professional setting. I was already working in this. This was my job. I was already sewing. Like, I know what I'm talking about. You're not going to be able to, say something that's going to hurt me. And I kind of like that. But if you talk, if you let me know something about foam work, maybe then you'll cut me down a little bit. But like, that is a level of toxic fandom that I really hate, is like when you're trying to tell people to do something differently, like in a skill set, that happens so much on YouTube, and I don't know why.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because like I've just started dabbling in YouTube and I'm streaming a lot more now, and I really want to start building more costumes on stream and doing YouTube videos, but I'm genuinely like scared because these people coming at me and being like, oh, you're doing that, because in the past I've had so much, like pushback in that space. Like I am just so like I'm trying to mentally prepare myself because like I'm gonna later this week make some like stuff on stream and do some Lord Sesshomaru stuff, and I want to make a YouTube video for those, and I've been spending the last few days mentally preparing myself for people to be like, you're not doing that right, like this isn't my full-time job. Like I didn't research, but I don't have I do lack that confidence to some extent to be like, well,
one of the biggest things I would say is that this is your project. This is your decision that you're making. And so I am going to choose this. This is how I'm going to do it. Like, thank you for your input. Like my favorite things to say on my comments, thank you for your input. Have a great day.
Yeah,
okay. I will not take whatever you say at all, but that's just because I'm very confident in my skill set and my making of costumes. Yeah. And you're very confident in your making of costumes. So you just don't know what to say back to them, maybe, or you're just afraid that they're going to say something, and they will. Oh, they will.
I know. That's what I'm mentally like preparing for, is that like April had told me when she first started streaming, she used to put like no backseat crafting, and I was like, that's clever.
That's exactly what that is. Backseat crafting. It's also a very easy way for someone to be, I don't want to say toxic, because I don't think they realize they're toxic, because to them, they're just sharing their knowledge. And sometimes it comes at a very kind background. Like they'll tell you about it. Like, I didn't know, this is actually completely an example that makes sense. My latest build, Ahsoka Tano, I chose a pair of pants pattern that was not at all the pants that was in the show. It wasn't. And it's because I don't know a lot of history of samurai wear, because I didn't study that. So, And so I was like, oh, those are harem pants. And I talked about it on like multiple videos that Ahsoka's wearing harem pants. Ahsoka's wearing harem pants. Well, it took like 2 commenters to tell me, I don't think she's wearing harem pants. She's actually wearing a pant that's called hakama. And it's a certain type of Japanese samurai pant. And it wasn't until those that I'm like, maybe they're right. And so I looked it up and I was like, oh, they're right.
Yeah.
No. And that's okay. And I was at a point where I'm like, that's good. And I addressed that in one of my videos. I was like, I realized that I made a mistake and you guys were right. This doesn't happen often. Don't try to do it again. But like it worked, and that's fine. And I feel like those people came from a genuine, respectful way of like, they respect my way of crafting, because also in the comment, they were like, this looks amazing. But one time I studied this, or like they said it differently to where I was like, we're having a conversation instead of you suck. Those are hakama pants.
There's a fine line between like, I'm being helpful genuinely and I'm here to tear you down.
And it's all about how you're writing it. And especially with YouTube, when you're doing crafting tutorials, some people will write it to where they're being nice and they're just genuinely sharing their info. And you can choose to take it negatively. Uh-oh, we lost April. That's okay.
Yeah.
You can. Oh, she's still there, audio. Okay. But you can choose to take that negatively, or you can choose to like, well, maybe they're right. Like look and research it up a little bit. But I just found that was really interesting. And then like I also had another commenter that was a guy that was clearly way into samurai wear a lot and was like throwing out Japanese terms left and right. And like, it's not actually hakama pants. It's like bayuka hakama whatever pants. And you need to be wearing leggings underneath this. And the funny part about it was that every time he wrote Ahsoka, he was spelling her name wrong.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like a 3-thread comment on like other videos of mine. And I just kept repeating back to him, Ahsoka, with the little asterisks.
That's
like,
great.
Because like what you're saying, sir, is right. It's 100% right. But I also don't care. And I'm already into this build. I'm using these pants. They're working perfectly. And it's fine. I'm not using the harem. I'm using the hakama. They might not be the same as what you're thinking, but they're working for me now. Like, shut up. But I saw him go into, and it's the worst part, I saw him go into like the Ahsoka support groups in cosplay and write the same like comments he wrote in mine, like copied and pasted into like other threads, and was still misspelling her name.
Oh my gosh.
I was just like, wow. Dude, if someone wants to take you seriously, at least spell the character's name right. Come on. Not to reference the Critical Role thing.
Say it right.
But that was they were typing that. But anyways, but there are times, what I'm saying, to wrap that up, there are times in commenting with crafting tutorials that someone is genuinely sharing information. It's good, but it's all about how they say it to you.
It's the delivery for sure. Like, I never want to come off like I'm not like open to, like I'm not right about everything. And if you have something helpful, I want it. Like, that's how I'm going to grow as a creator and as a costumer. It's just 9 times out of 10, it's not that. 9 times it's people, trying to be like, well, you don't know, and I know. It's like, please,
unsolicited craftsman skill sharing, critiquing, but also like trying to like one up you in their knowledge.
Yes, like, are you adding anything to this conversation or to the subject, or are you just here to bolster your own ego? Like,
I see that on a lot of other YouTubers that are at more of a beginner crafting level, but they're just doing what they're doing. And I'm sitting here watching, I'm like, oh, are you hot gluing that ham? But I'm not going to say anything because that's not my realm. And plus, that person in the video has said several times for people to not do that.
And also, that's part of learning.
And that is a part of learning. Right?
I hot glued a whole costume together when I started, and you know what happened when I got to the show? It fell off of me. So guess what I didn't do again? Hot glued that costume. Sophie learned.
There you go. See, sometimes, the only way you can learn is to actually do it and fail at it.
Yeah, it's like a rite of passage.
Especially with cosplay, man, all of us could talk miles around how many things we've had like, oh, I thought this worked and it hella did not.
Yeah, my whole first armor build I built and the wind blew and it fell off of me. Like, I've told this many times, but it literally, and I was just like, wow, I would love to die now, thank you. Like, it was awful.
Oh, man. I'm pretty sure I hot glued leather together once and that was a terrible idea.
Ooh, yeah, I think I've done that before.
Have you ever spray painted shoes?
Get to a shoe and all that, and all the stuff that chips off that, but yeah.
Yep.
God.
Oh man.
Things we've done.
Yeah. No, I feel like we could talk forever.
We could talk forever. How long have we been? An hour and 15. Okay.
Yeah.
But I really do think we've talked a lot about toxic fandom, though. Especially ways to combat it. And I don't want to go outright and be like, Mortal Kombat fandom is the most toxic, because every fandom is toxic. I think as a cosplayer, you just kind of have to know how to deal with it and how to push it out of the fandom.
And not to add to it, to be the antidote, not the problem.
Yeah, and I know that it can be discouraging, like thinking like, wow, there's so many people that are toxic in this fandom. But if you stop participating in the fandom, then it'll only get more toxic, because all the people that are like positive are going to leave, and that's all that there's going to be left, and then the positive people won't have anything. So
that's happened a lot in Star Wars, especially at least from Twitter. A lot of people like when something trends on Twitter about somebody being an asshat or like, I don't know, reasons, and someone's like, that's the reason I left the Star Wars fandom. I'm like, that's your reason? You didn't leave it. Yeah. You left something you liked a lot because of someone saying one thing that you could easily just turn around, or, not take that content in or something like that. Like, I know a lot of people were really upset with like Gina Carino's stuff about all of her nasty tweets that she's done. And people are like, I'm never going to watch The Mandalorian. And I'm like, well, The Mandalorian is more than just Cara Dune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's up to you to leave or whatever, but you have to understand that the fandom is not just one person.
Well, you know what? And something like magical really happened when my relationship with like the Critical Role fandom was, like I said, like I always feel like it's something April's passionate about, and I love April, so she makes me passionate about it when she invites me to do it with her. And then that whole Vex thing happened, and I had so many people reach out to me to make sure I didn't think that the fandom was toxic. And I was like, no, like April has done nothing but say wonderful things about you guys, that I ended up like, I'm going to do another Jess. Like, now I have even more of an interest in being a part of that fandom, because it highlighted how many wonderful bright lights all the people April have been telling me about. Like, I got to see them, and they had intimate conversations with me, and that actually strengthened my like relationship with that fandom. And so had that not happened, that experience, and had I not shared that experience, I probably wouldn't have this newfound love. Like, I really am excited to do a Jester. April actually got me some stuff to do Jester for my birthday that I'm really excited about. And, so that turned into a project.
That's really good to hear. I've heard that a lot about Critical Role from April and Alex as well. Alex is just trying to get me into it. I'm just like, I can't. I have too many other things on my mind. I'm in the Star Wars community. You know how much content comes out in this damn community all the time. But yeah, no, that's great. I wish more cosplay, especially Critical Role cosplay. I wish there was more of that in other ones, and I think there is. It's just I'm not in it to see it, so. I don't know. I think that's great. That is awesome. That's really good to hear, to be honest, because I saw all the negative stuff that you got, and I was like, for real? Jesus Christ.
Wild. Oh, sorry, April, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I was so angry when I saw that. I was just like, man, all the times that I've talked the Critical Role fandom up to you, like, to try and, like, not coerce you to cosplay with me, but like to like kind of convince you to cosplay Critical Role with me. And then like, this is how they treat you. I was just like, are you kidding me? Because
sorry.
I was going to say, because there's so many really great people in that fandom. And like, of course, like the couple like super loudmouth toxic ones would come out for that.
I know.
Well, that's why I never said anything. So the day it started happening in the Critical Role group, I purposely was like, oh, I don't want April to see this. Like, I don't want Then like the admins came in and started deleting everything. And I was like, oh, they were fat. Shout out to the admins in that group. They were not having any of it. Like other group members came in and were like, whoa, no, you need to calm down. And the admins just deleted. And I was just like, oh, damn, get it. But I was like, oh, I don't want April to see this. Oh, no.
Oh. I get that because you don't want the bubble bursted. It's such a good fandom. You talk so much about it. You don't want that negativity to bounce back, which is why in Star Wars and Marvel and Mortal Kombat, for that reason, I'm always just like trying to be a cheerleader as much as I can, even though stuff happens. And I'm like, it's still really good. I promise.
Yeah.
I want to say that a lot of anime fandoms are really incredible. Like I think anime gets kind of a bad rep, and I would say I like dabble in I really like anime, and a lot of my cosplay comes from anime, and a lot of those fandoms are incredible. Like they will not allow toxicity. They will, and I think it's because people get such a deep connection with those types of shows.
And that's interesting because I would have thought it'd been the exact opposite.
Yeah, with the whole like waifu stuff, like that really intimidates me.
So yeah, really? The really big one, like I said, when you get real like blown up animes like My Hero, because the fandom gets so big, the toxic parts of it kind of like grow. But especially like Sailor Moon, I would say, and like Inuyasha, Cowboy Bebop, like a lot of like the established kind of like cult favorite animes. Like those communities are so established and been around for so long that they just don't allow any messing, like none at all. And I just think that's really cool.
Well, Star Wars does that to a point because Star Wars is so big that it's broken off into subgroups that like within the cosplay especially, and also within like all the other Star Wars characters, there's certain Facebook groups that are made for that one character that you can get in that group and you can share your stuff. And I'm not competing with the Rey cosplayers or the Luke cosplayers. I'm just showing my Ahsoka stuff. And so that's really nice. And that's what I always tell people with Star Wars. And I'm like, first thing to do is to get into a build group because it's very positive most of the time. It's very positive in there. And you can find what you need and you can talk shop and it's really nice. It's a good way to step into it and versus like throwing it out there to the Star Wars cosplayers group on Facebook, which is just like throwing meat to hounds. It's like 500,000 people in that group and it's just crazy. But yeah, there are ways with other groups to like kind of sink into a fandom to make it feel better for you, especially with cosplay and build groups, in my opinion.
Yeah. The Witcher fandoms seem lovely on Facebook. I really like those. It's just
I mean, I don't know. It's about who you talk to.
The group, I think it's just Witcher. I know there's a bunch of them. It's just Witcher cosplayers or whatever. So far, so good. They've been really nice. So hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah. I had a lot of people when I posted my Yennefer, because I did Yennefer from the show. I had a lot of people talk about how they didn't like the show Yennefer.
Yes.
I'm like,
I hear that.
What does that have to do with anything? And I get a lot of that type of comment. Yeah. I'm like, that has nothing to do with me.
Or Triss.
But yeah, Triss from the show. And it's like, that's a different types of toxic fandom. I'm just a cosplayer doing a dress that I like, and I like Yennefer as a character, but I find that really interesting within that group. I was just like, huh, okay. But yeah. I think have we talked a lot about toxic fandom? I don't know.
I'd say so.
Everything. I'm looking at your notes and I'm like, gatekeeping, yeah, insecurity, yeah, immaturity. Immaturity, yeah. Yep. People are immature if you post a mean comment. That's it. That's that.
Oh yeah, totally. But yeah, I'd say that probably just about does it. Thanks everybody for listening. Remember to give us a 5-star rating wherever you're listening. It helps us show up on the algorithms and all that stuff. Constantly fighting the algorithms, so that would be much appreciated.
It shows Amanda, your love of the fandom of hot glue and bobby pins. New fandom.
Oh yeah, join our fandom.
5-star.
If you're toxic, we'll kick you out. So there's that.
Exactly. Or I'm going to make you feel awful.
Yep.
People dig it. People give it to me. I can dig it back out. But I'm just too nice of a person to put it in a comment. Hold on, before we even stop, this is something I've always wanted to do, and it's a terrible, don't ever anybody do this. Have you all ever wanted to make a profile on a certain social media or something that is like not you, so you can combat people for your own sake, like white knight yourself?
Yep.
Yes.
I have thought about it. Then it's like, what if I always think like, oh my God, what if somebody straight like was like checks the IP address and finds out it's me?
I'm like, what if someone backlogs an FBI search and finds my IP address and knows it's me? It's really awful, but true.
Yeah. Oh man.
Don't do that. That's terrible. But because that could also end up being toxic. Because I also feel like people are out there that do that because they're too afraid to say what they want to say behind their own face. So they get some imposter type of profile to do it, which is awful.
It's also so much energy. Like, I wish more people think about where they're putting their energy, man. We'd have less negativity. If you thought of your energy as like not a limitless.
Yeah. But I don't know. Just don't go out there and get a fake profile, guys. That's awful.
Well, tell us about your real profiles, Amanda. Where can we find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me pretty much everywhere as Jedimanda. I'm the most active right now on YouTube. It is growing like a little wonderful cherry blossom that it is, and I'm very excited about that. But all other social medias, I also wrote a book, guys, that you can buy all about cosplay and how to get into it. And also there is a deep dive in there about a little bit about the culture, what to expect, especially at a convention, which a lot of people really don't know what to expect as a cosplayer at a convention. So I give you some more insight on how to do that. But it is available on Amazon. It is called Creative Cosplay. Pretty much it's available at any book place online. So if you don't want to support the Jeff Bezos, you can go to Target. But yes, it's called Creative Cosplay. But I'm Jedimanda everywhere. Yay!
Yay. What about you, Sophie?
Oh, I am my Sophie with 2 eyes, no E, not Sophia. Pretty much everywhere. Including Vero. I'm trying to get more active on there. Because I'm so annoyed with Instagram, as we all are.
Oh yeah. Vero. I forgot.
Yeah. And I'm dabbling in TikTok. It's very cringe, but I would love it if more people followed me and encouraged my cringe. What about you, April?
Well, you can find me everywhere, I guess. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon, OnlyFans, YouTube, I guess. And Twitch. I stream Mondays and Wednesdays on Twitch as April Gloria. If you just search April Gloria everywhere, you'll find me. I have some underscores in my name because somebody took my name, but it's great. So yeah, that's about it.
Yay!
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody, for this fun conversation. This was really, really exciting in a good way and a bad way.
It was cathartic. I got a lot of excitement in my chest.
Yeah. I hope it made some people feel less alone dealing with toxic fandom stuff.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Hopefully we can kind of shed some light and kind of move forward a little bit and spread more happiness around the internet to combat the toxicity.
Yes. Positive vibes.
Comment on people's good stuff and leave them good things.
If you don't like something, scroll on.
Yes.
No one needs to know.
Scroll on. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, and have a good day, and we'll see you later, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.